Everything was going great-ish, as well as they could go during a pandemic. Seniors could finally get vaccines. Restaurants were about to start reopening for dinner again. Then the weather snowed on our parade. And most kids couldn't even get a snow day. Which reminds me, let's check in to see how virtual learning is going for the Salem-Keizer District, because last fall, half of the students were failing. But you know what? I am glad to be indoors on a day like today. Wonder how bad it is out there.
Here's the story. Is it cold? Is snow white?
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold. But I'm coming in hot tonight, okay? I got to talk about something. I need to vent or defrost or whatever. I drove into work about 3 o'clock. I know I'm new here, but what is the deal on the roads? Is this normal? This is normal? Yeah, I know now why people are like, people in Portland can't drive. Of course you can't drive, because you're literally driving through piles of snow on the highway. The most major thoroughfares look like the road to the Overlook Hotel. No wonder the city shuts down. Where are the plow trucks? Am I just not seeing them? I mean, I'm not asking you to come plow my driveway, but can you take care of I-5? I thought I was going to look out my window and see Colin O'Brady on a sat phone. You know, it's not like that in other places. That's not a thing. I've lived in a bunch of spots. I lived in West Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas. They have sleet and freezing rain and snow and all that. It's not, the roads don't look like this. This level of road maintenance is unacceptable, unless you're Gravedigger. Because I just white-knuckled my commute in a Mazda sedan, rear-wheel drive. This is just part of life here? We just deal with it. Nobody talks about it. Okay, that's fine. I'll do that. This is the story. Hi, I'm Dan Haggerty. Let me know what's on your mind. Feel free to defrost in this direction. You can email us at thestory@kgw.com. Find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well, or use Twitter and the hashtag HeyDan. And I know you have a lot of questions. I know, because this storm picked a heck of a time to come rolling on through. Restaurants finally get to open their doors. It's Valentine's Day, right? That's a big weekend. And now people feel like they have to, risk their lives just to grab dinner. And speaking of life and death, thousands of people had vaccine appointments that got canceled because of snow and ice. So what are you supposed to do? What do you do now? Pat Doris has been on the vaccine beat since the beginning, and he has some answers for us.
Hey Dan, I've got some viewer questions on vaccines and the storm, and I thought I'd tackle them for you. What do you say? Here we go. The first one says, let's say I signed up for the vaccine and the appointment canceled. What's that mean for me? Well, what it means for you is you're not going to get the shot when you thought you were. But don't worry. They will contact you. They will reschedule probably late sometime next week, and you'll still get your shot just like you thought you would, just not at the exact time you thought you would. Here's another one. I'm trying to sign up for a vaccine. What does this mean for my ability to get a shot? Well, that's a great question, and it means nothing. The online portal, not affected by the weather. It's still going to open up 9 a.m. on Monday, and you'll have as good or as bad a chance of getting an appointment as any other time. And it's also going to open up again, by the way, on Thursday at 9 a.m. And you can also check your pharmacies as well. So you should still have a reasonable chance at snagging an appointment. Here's the next one. What if an appointment is made and no one has reached out to me? Well, that means that you need to check your spam filter probably, because when you signed up, when you locked in that appointment, you had to give them contact information, your name, your phone number, your email, that kind of thing. So the first thing they're going to do, I'm sure, is try and contact you on email to reschedule it. If they can't get a hold of you there, they're probably going to give you a call. If you never hear from anybody, maybe you didn't follow all the way through and actually get that appointment, but I think you probably did, and you'll hear from somebody. Just hang in there, be patient. The storm's going to pass. Everyone's going to get the shots they're signed up for. Everything's going to be fine. Dan, I hope that helps out.
It does, as always, Pat. Thank you. The storm will pass. Now, when we first started forecasting this snowstorm, I asked on my Facebook page what you thought maybe the most cliche or cringe or ridiculous funny things the local news does when we're covering this crazy weather. Janet wrote this one in and commented, making reporters stand out in horrible conditions to show just how bad the weather is. Yes, we're guilty as charged on that, though I do think there is some value to it. In fact, we sent Devin Haskins out to Corbett in the Gorge. Let's go out to him now. Devin, what are the conditions out like they're out now, right now?
Well, Dan, it's not exactly the most enjoyable. There's about 35 to 40 mile an hour sustained winds out here with gusts up to 55 to 60 miles an hour. It hurts. It's like sand pelting you in the face. It's not exactly the most enjoyable part of my day. I don't know how it is there in the warm studio, but it's painful out here.
Oh, in here? No, it's tough in here too. It is. Just wondering, do you have one of those rulers? People love when you do the ruler. Can you do one of those, the ruler thing?
Dan, I can barely see right now, but I'm in an empty parking lot. There's no snow on the ground next to me. Let me chase it. Hang on. Come back! Come back!
Oh. Devin, how did you... It's hot. How did you draw the short straw on this one, man?
What?
The short straw. How'd you draw the short straw?
Oh, you want me to draw?
No. The short straw. How did you draw?
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm 6 feet tall. I don't think I'm short.
Dude, how did you draw the short straw on this one?
Oh, the short straw.
Yep.
Well, I think I'm their favorite.
Yeah, I know how you feel, buddy. Devin Haskins in Corbett Force. Thanks, Devin.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Safino. It's a nasty night out there. We've got freezing rain. I mean, I wish it was all snow, but most of Portland is seeing freezing rain, 26 degrees right now. Look at the lens on our Wells Fargo Skycam. It's just completely iced over. And again, it's just a really nasty night out there. The roads are likely going to get worse with this freezing rain and sleet falling. Snowing up at Timberline, lots of snow up there. It's been over a foot. But notice how it's not much colder at Timberline than it is down here in the valley. Therein lies the problem. There's a layer of warm air that is turning the snow to rain, and then it refreezes as it drops down into these temperatures that we're all feeling outside right now. And again, these numbers aren't going to go up overnight, so we're going to continue with the sleet and the freezing rain. Now, there will be snow north and east of Portland, and that line has been hovering right around the West Hills right now. Right about there where you go down to the pink area, that's freezing rain and sleet. This purple area is kind of a mix, and then the white is all snow, so it's just south of I-84. But I can tell you downtown in the radar is saying that we're getting snow. We've been seeing sleet and freezing rain for the last couple of hours. Same thing over on Mount Tabor. So this line is actually pushed a little bit farther north than what the radar is showing us right now. And I've been looking for a way, not a way, but looking for the way that the atmosphere would change this back to snow. And it's possible, but for the most part, I think we're dealing with ice tonight. They certainly are, where you see this ice storm warning, which I can't remember one in the Mid-Valley in years. It's been a long, long time. And we're going to have already seen a ½ inch of ice down there. We're looking at probably another ½ inch of ice. So it's already taken down trees and power lines. Power's out in parts of Marion County. Almsville has had over ½ inch of ice already. We're going to hear more reports like that overnight tonight because ice is heavy. So it brings things down. It's a very damaging situation down there, and the power is likely, those power outages will be increasing overnight. West Hills, north and east, still go for some snow, and there'll be heavy snow as you get up into Clark County and out towards the gorge, even more than the 4 inches I'm showing here. But many of us are going to be stuck with this ice, 1/10 of an inch to a ½ inch of ice in part of the Portland area, and some snow too. It may turn back to snow for a while tonight. South of downtown, though, heavy icing, ½ inch to an inch of ice. So that's going to make things pretty rough. And the north coast may also see some ice from about Manzanita, Seaside northward. The gorge will continue with the heavy snow and the strong winds.
We're begging for the snow at this point, Matt.
It'd be much better.
For sure. All right, man, thank you so much. So in normal times, this would have been a snow day for kids, but thanks to the pandemic, they still had to go to virtual class. I know, another reason for kids to kind of hate this whole distance learning thing. And I say that because at the end of the fall, about half of the high school students in the Salem-Keizer School District were failing at least one class. Half of them. Now we are at the end of the second quarter, so Christine Pitawanich decided to check back in to see if things got any better.
The second quarter in the Salem-Keizer School District is now over, and district officials say almost 22%, or nearly a quarter of its roughly 12,700 high school students district-wide, received at least one failing grade. And that's better than the 50% mark that was reported at the end of last fall. At the time, McNary High School Principal Eric Jesperson said at his school, 38% of all grades were Fs, a number 3 times higher than when students had been learning in person. That number eventually went down at McNary High School to roughly 16%, which is about where they're at now after the end of the second quarter.
Last quarter, we really stumbled out of the blocks. It was really a story of us digging ourselves out. This quarter has been a lot more consistent.
Jesperson says at this point they've figured out the workflow, and he anticipates the percentage of failing grades will go down as teachers continue to help students through limited in-person instruction, like they helped McNary senior Eduardo Martinez.
For me, it was difficult. At the beginning, it was pretty hard. I was slacking on the schoolwork.
Eduardo wasn't motivated and wasn't sure he'd graduate. That was before a staff member invited him to get help in person.
I came in, they started helping me. I saw my progress going up, so I got excited.
He came to school every chance he could to get the help he needed.
I was here basically every day.
We even had staff members that said, man, we got to get Eduardo a badge because he's here all the time. I don't think Eduardo gives himself enough credit.
Now, Eduardo is only one class away from meeting his graduation requirements.
Now I am really excited. I know that I can graduate, so I'm going to take advantage of whatever I can.
Wow, Eduardo is one hardworking guy. He says he hopes other students don't give up, stay in school, and keep doing their work. Principal Eric Jesperson says with more kids coming for limited in-person instruction, more students will have the chance to turn their grades around, like Eduardo. Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.
Hey, why not? Let's take another look outside in our reoccurring segment, Is It Snowing? You wish. As we just heard from Matt Safino, we're talking more like sleet and freezing rain, which, man, I'd much prefer some snow, but it's just a reminder to everybody to stay safe out there. Stay off the roads unless you have to go on the roads. Keep that weather app, the KGW weather app, handy, and keep the conditions, we'll get the latest conditions to you that way. Also, Matt Safino is going to keep updating us for the rest of the evening.
When you think of Portland protests, you probably think of this. But remember when people took their demonstrations to the tops of trees? And speaking of protests, the Rose City got a little shout-out in the impeachment trial today.
In Portland, Oregon.
Or at least I think they were talking about us. When the story continues.
Hey Dan, this is Henry reporting to you from Kenton Park in North Portland, where as you can see behind me there's a lot of sledding action, and over by the basketball court there's a guy building igloos, and there's about nearly 2 inches of snow right here. 2 inches. Bye! Thank you for your time.
Hi, this is Angela DeHaven.
Diane DeHaven.
And we live in Mill Park, Portland. And we're going to show you our neighborhood. It is snowing quite heavily. It has not let up. Diane's going to be brave here and she's going to do a snow angel. Wah! You can see the snow is quite deep.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Welcome back. I asked a bunch of people on Facebook to send in your snow reports. Be a TV reporter like us. We go out in the field and do that sort of thing. Just like Devin was doing earlier. Let's check back in with him. How you doing out there, buddy? Okay. Okay. Hopefully you're having more fun than Devin is having. Keep the snow reports coming, please. Send them to the story at kgw.com, or you can send them to me on Facebook or Twitter, any of that kind of stuff. Use the hashtag HeyDan. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever there's an impeachment trial these days, Portland seems to get mentioned or have some sort of connection. Now, last time around, it was this guy, Gordon Sondland. He was the ambassador to the EU, who also happened to own the Portland-based Providence Hotels Group. He got caught up in the president and President Trump's first impeachment as an unlikely star witness when he said this about Trump's call with the Ukrainian president.
Was there a quid pro quo? As I testified previously, with regard to the requested White House call and the White House meeting, the answer is yes.
Well, now we are in impeachment round 2. No Gordon Sondland this time, but one of President Trump's lawyers did name drop Portland today.
Many Democrat politicians endorsed and encouraged the riots that destroyed vast swaths of American cities last summer, when violent left-wing anarchists conducted a sustained assault on a federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon. Speaker Pelosi did not call it an insurrection. Instead, she called the federal law enforcement officers protecting the building stormtroopers.
Now, if you're wondering, we fact-checked that, all right? It is true. She did liken the federal DHS agents in Portland to stormtroopers in this tweet from July 17th, saying Trump and his stormtroopers must be stopped. Now, if you're wondering, what does that have to do with President Trump and the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, you know, the thing that he was actually impeached over? Well, see, his defense team is trying to make the argument that Democratic leaders supported protests and violence this summer here in Portland. So that's no different than President Trump backing his supporters when they then attacked the Capitol. Whether that's a solid argument, well, I'm sure you have an opinion on that, but it's not really up for you or me to decide. It's up to the Senate to convict him or to acquit him. And that could happen this weekend. Let's take another look. Why not? Is it snowing? Back to that old segment. I'll tell you what, it's beautiful. Look at that. The living room looking quite nice. Snow on the ground there. I like the lights. As far as is snow falling right now, last time we talked to Matt Safino, he said no. It's more like sleet and freezing rain and things like that, especially a little south of Portland. So keep an eye out for that. Be safe out there. Check the weather app, and we'll touch base with Matt again here pretty quickly. Now, I want everyone to take a minute and think back. Think back to normal times, you know, pre-pandemic, pre-riots, pre-Portland is dying rhetoric. What was the news even like back then? We had the news. There was stuff on the news. Well, how about this incredibly Portland-esque story from 2015 that we found in the KGW vault? I bet some of you remember this. Neighbors in Eastmoreland, they were really upset a developer was going to cut down 3 historic sequoia trees. They apparently dated back to like the 19th century. Well, they fought with the developer for months until a guy decided to actually climb one of the trees in protest. And he stayed up there for 3 days, and it paid off, because both sides eventually reached a deal and they kept the trees up. Now let me bring you back to present day. Guess what? There's another tree protest happening right now, not involving people sitting in trees, at least not yet. See, this planned housing development in Gresham would wipe out more than 260 Douglas fir trees, and they happen to be key for a key animal habitat, and people don't want to see that wiped out. Now, Keely Chalmers is our environmental expert around here, so I think she'd be the perfect person to tell us what's going on.
This is the area at the center of the controversy, roughly 8 acres along the 3500 block of West Powell Boulevard in Gresham, an area filled with old fir trees. Our drone Fly 8 gives us a look at just how many. We're talking hundreds.
This is the Glockamore neighborhood.
It's what drew first-time homebuyers Kaysen and Philip Wolcott to the neighborhood next door.
So we bought the home because we liked the trees in the backyard.
And now the couple and many of their neighbors are fighting to save those trees.
I'm not happy.
Bend-based SGS Development recently purchased the land and has plans to develop it into 30 residential lots. The plan calls for the cutting of more than 260 trees.
I think that's insane. I also disagree with the number that they've given. I mean, there's way more trees back there than the 260 trees.
The area also sits right next to Grand Butte Wetlands, which is a protected area, as well as Southwest Community Park, an undeveloped park that's also home to a lot of habitat.
All sorts of little sparrows, chickadees, several bald eagles have flown over our house, lots of different types of hawks. It's definitely, its own little ecosystem.
The city of Gresham has not yet approved the development, but has told neighbors it likely will. The city declined any on-camera interview, but in a statement did say that it understands the community's concerns and is in discussions with potential partners to keep the land public, but added that the city is also currently facing significant budget challenges. We also reached out to the folks at SGS Development, who said they had no comment at this time. But neighbors and several organizations say they still have plenty of comments to make on this proposal.
We are in need of housing that meets the needs of everyone in the community in Gresham, but a development by a for-profit developer for 30 homes in this area isn't, I don't think, where the solution's coming from.
And these groups vow to keep fighting to save these trees and hopes the city of Gresham reconsiders.
A lot of people don't want to see this park change, but development happens, and we understand that. So we'd like to see as much of nature stay as nature.
In Gresham, Keely Chalmers, KGW News.
I've been going through comments. Keep them coming. Use that hashtag #HeyDan. I'm going to read a few of them as we finish the story next. But first, let's throw it out to another Story Viewer Snow Report.
Hey Dan, it's Isaac.
And Eliana from Vancouver, Washington.
We have enough snow to make snow angels. I'm Katana Fence to Maker, reporting from Scappoose for KGW. And twice, what a wonderful time for
Nice. Gained some real good speed there. Thanks to everybody sending in these videos. They've been a lot of fun today. Now this week we've also been asking you to share your memories of the big snow that hit Oregon in 1969. Keep those coming too with the hashtag #HeyDan. I want to read a couple more of my favorites right now. Lillian said, I was in 8th grade at Buckman Grade School in Southeast Portland. Our family had just returned from winter break by car through the snow. School was closed after the break for some days due to snow and a silver thaw. When school finally opened, I wore pants since it was still very cold. I was sent home by the school due to change to a dress. Come on. Due to the ever-present threat of this will be on your permanent record. The following fall, Portland Public Schools allowed girls to wear pants. Jeez, on a cold day like that, you gotta put some pants on. Debbie wrote in too and said, I was only 4. We lived on a dead-end street with 2 firefighter neighbors. We lost power. One of the firefighters came and got us and took us to the fire station where it was warm, and we slept on cots. I had to share a cot with a neighbor friend. And Jim said, I was in high school and used electrical cord wire to make chains for my bicycle, and they worked. I want to see the proof to that one, but I'll take your word for it. Meanwhile, let's check in on our last segment here. Is it snowing? And wow, it looks like it has been snowing a lot. Again, as Matt Zaffino was saying, we are kind of focusing more on sleet and freezing rain and all that kind of nasty stuff right now. So be safe out there and stay with us, because Matt Zaffino is going to be back with a more in-depth update at 6:30. Meanwhile, we got some people commenting tonight. They're saying, time for you to invest in an all-wheel drive car, because I was complaining about the roads. And then I love this one from Lewis. This snow only happens every few years. It's not worth a big investment for expensive equipment for the city. Then he tells me, get a new car, Dan. I have to make the investment? Come on. And then Greg said, whine. You can't drive through the snow. Don't leave your house. Portland has like 3 snow plows. I'm sure they'll work as hard as they can. I'm not saying nobody's working hard. I'm sure they are working hard. The road's just frightening right now. And then one last one. Somebody said, hey, Dan, do you have any change for that Mozzie? You're going to need them if you want to get home tonight, or maybe you'll sleep at the studio. My wife does have a couch in her office. So, I don't know. I'll just put all my suit coats on top of me and cozy up. Best I can do. Be safe out there. Stick around for 6:30. We got more news coming up. That's the story for tonight. We'll see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.